Hello and greetings, Corey from Bach Scholar. The Bach to School 2025 sale is still going on. You can get 25% off on all of Bach Scholar's books, hard copy and PDF. Just follow the links below this video. What I would like to do in this video is to highlight some of Bach Scholar's editions and to explain what the difference is between various types of editions. Because I think that some pianists and students tend to get things mixed up, or they don't really understand totally what goes into each type of edition. I have made a video or two in the past on various types of editions, musical editions. You might want to watch that, but I might recap that here, some of that in this video here. So as this wonderful sale is going on, I want to highlight some things that have come up here. And the first is the edition here, my second edition of Bach's Goldberg Variations. I've covered this in a previous video, but I wanted to highlight this here because this is an example of what's known as an Urtext, U-R-T-E-X-T. That's German for original edition. So if it is an Urtext, usually Urtext will say it somewhere on the front cover. I try to do that, although I do have some Urtext that I don't really say it literally, but I do try to do this. So you will usually see Urtext. You know, this is what you see in basically, you know, almost all of Henley editions, you know, the very well-known Henley editions. Almost all of these are Urtext editions. An Urtext is an original edition which may or may not have fingerings. So whether it has fingerings or not does not distinguish it whether it's an Urtext. So Urtexts can have fingerings, but I'd say 50% of the time they do not have fingerings. And that will depend on the difficulty level of the music and some other factors as well that I might get into in this video. But I just wanted to point out that this Goldberg Variation edition here is an Urtext, which means that everything in here is exactly what Bach wrote. So I'm not changing things around. I'm not adding dynamics. I'm not putting pedal markings in. I'm not marking anything Bach did not indicate. And this edition happens to have no fingerings. Okay, so there might be in the near future another Goldberg edition coming with fingerings, but I wanted this one to be clean and with no fingerings, so it would appeal to a wide audience, including you know, concert pianists. So concert pianists and highly advanced pianists do not need fingerings from editors. They're good enough to figure out their own fingerings. So Urtexts like this, which especially of difficult music like the Goldberg Variations, which concert artists tend to play, I thought it would be best to leave this with no fingerings because it appeals to a wider audience this way. Also, you don't want sometimes people don't want my fingerings. Okay, I use a lot different fingerings than most other pianists and editors, and you might not like my fingerings. So I don't want to litter clean editions like this up with my fingerings when I don't want to bother anybody with my fingerings, in other words. Okay, that's why this doesn't have any fingerings. But then we have a totally new type of edition. This is Clementi's 6 Sonatinas, Opus 36. Also my second edition. This is hot off the press. I published the Clementi 6 Sonatinas last year in 2024. This is under the series, the Focus on Fingering series. Fingering's so easy, it should be illegal. I really like this series a lot. Well, what I do in this is I do give fingerings, and they're different fingerings than you'll find anywhere else. They're my own fingerings based on minimalist principles. So this is not an urtext. I mean, it's clean looking like an urtext, but there are dynamics added. I have added dynamics. I have added phrase markings. I have fingerings. That's the main feature of this edition right here, is fingerings. I will go over this book in another video where I will speak of it in more detail. But this is a great example of what we would call a performance edition, or perhaps an instructive edition, which, also I have written out ornaments, so trills are all written out. So those kinds of things, instructional things, usually are not included in urtexts, and vice versa. So my new Clementi edition here is a wonderful instructive edition which will help teachers and students. And to top it off, it has my own special, unique fingerings you will find nowhere else. And I will go over that in another video. So let's just recap here. Urtexts are basically original notations with nothing added, but perhaps some fingerings. And performance editions are editions that focus on something else, such as fingerings, which I'm doing in here, and also offering other things like dynamics and pedaling and tempo and such. Here is an excellent example of a performance edition that I published a few years ago, Schumann's Scenes from Childhood, the very well-known cycle, Opus 15 of Schumann. I say here, performance edition, and I say includes fingering, expression, pedaling, and tempo. So this is definitely a nice addition for teachers and students that includes fingering, and I have a nice preface here discussing the controversial issue of tempo. This is what this edition here looks like. I'm really proud of this Schumann edition. I like it a lot. This is probably my favorite edition, my own edition, my favorite edition of Schumann's Scenes from Childhood. Great example of a performance edition. Now, why did I not choose to make this an urtext? Why did I choose to add dynamics and put in lots of additional things? Well, especially fingerings. The reason is that this is played by such a wide variety of piano students from all levels, mostly in the lower levels, including concert artists. So this is played by concert artists as well as everyone in lower levels. I wanted to make it appeal to students in lower levels and teachers in the lower levels. I didn't want to just have this be exclusively for concert artists where no fingerings are provided and they have their own fingerings, okay? So this is one of the reasons why I chose not to have an urtext edition of the Scenes from Childhood. I don't think it would be that popular because the pianists that play Scenes from Childhood are the ones that really need help with fingerings. Whereas if you take your advanced pianist who plays the Goldberg variations, well, since they're so advanced, they can kind of figure out their own fingerings. So that's sort of my reasoning there. Also among BachScholar's urtext editions are these two volumes here, 436 four-part chorales and 436 two-part chorales. Really, chorales or hymns really work best if they're in original states, if they're not edited with dynamics and fingerings and expression. I think it really just gets bogged down with too much information. So I think this just the standard way you'll see in most Bach chorale notations from BachScholar and other publishers, as well as you'll usually see just no fingerings, because fingerings are really problematic in 4-part chorales. The numbers just become too overwhelming on the page, and it's really ugly. It's just a whole bunch of numbers. I've been asked, why are there no fingerings on the 4-part chorales? Well, that's why. The indicating fingerings on 4-part chorales is the difficult thing, and you're not going to find it in very many publishers. So, oh, here's an edition that I am really proud of. This is my Toccata and Fugue in D minor. I performed this on YouTube. You can go listen to me perform it. Back in my early days, when I was a hotshot YouTube performer, you can listen to me. This is my exact arrangement, notated perfectly. This is exactly what I play on that video on YouTube, that now legendary video on YouTube. So this is my own arrangement transcription of Bach's very famous Toccata and Fugue in D minor. You will love this. This should be played by all advanced students and virtuosos. They should all play this. Another good example of a performance edition is Mozart's Sonata in C major, the famous so-called easy sonata. Well, because this piece is played mostly by students, piano students who need fingerings, this is supplied with fingerings, see? So that's why I chose not to make this an urtext, because most of the students and people playing this really need those fingerings. And then also ragtime. Most of BachScholar's ragtime editions, like the Scott Joplin edition here, most of these are urtexts. So you will not find fancy arrangements and pedaling indications and my own personal interpretations. So, and I try to do, like I said before, I try to always say urtext. So here's my Scott Joplin edition here, urtext. And here is a really nice edition here of Sinfonia from Cantata number 29. This is a really novel concept I came up with, in that it looks really difficult, but actually the difficulty is cut in half, because the pianist and student plays only on one staff. So you're playing two hands, but you're playing on one staff. So if the stems go up, it's played by the right hand, and if the stems go down, it's played by the left hand. And so this is called Sinfonia from Cantata number 29, etude on one staff with two hands. It's a fantastic piece for students and teachers. It's the famous melody, it's that one. That's the one here. It's really famous. Then the exact same one, Sinfonia from Cantata number 29, virtuoso concert piano transcription by Camille Saint-Saëns. So Camille Saint-Saëns, the very famous composer, French composer of the 19th century. He lived into the 20th century. Camille Saint-Saëns was an excellent pianist, and he came up with this absolutely stunning arrangement or transcription of Bach's Sinfonia from Cantata number 29. So this is none of me. I am not in here. This is not Corey Hall. This is Camille Saint-Saëns. So what I've done is I've simply added some more fingerings. Saint-Saëns did supply some fingerings, but not very many. So I supplied more fingerings. I cleaned up the notation. I redistributed some notes and things, but this is all Camille Saint-Saëns and Bach. It's not me. This is not my own transcription. So do not get this confused with like my own arrangement of the Toccata and Fugue. This is me. This is Camille Saint-Saëns. I mean, it says that on the cover, but I just wanted to point that out because sometimes people don't look at everything on the covers. What else do we have here? Oh yes, my favorite of all. These are actual personal arrangements. These are about as far off from ur-texts as you can get. These are good examples of my own arrangements. Bach goes romantic and Bach meets ragtime here. Fantastic pieces. I love these books so much, and it would mean everything to me if you purchase these during the sale. So these are an example of something totally different from any other edition. Like you take an ur-text like that, you know, a dry and boring kind of ur-text, and then you take these and the music just comes to life. So you have something for everyone. I'm really proud of the fact that BachScholar publishes so many types of editions. I really think that this is a strong point for BachScholar publishing. There aren't very many other publishers that do this. Usually the publishers tend to focus on one thing, like only ur-texts or only instructive editions and, you know, children's music and such. But BachScholar, I think, really offers a very well-rounded approach. Like my shirt says here, the well-rounded pianist. So thank you for joining me. I hope that this, you know, sort of clears things up and explains the differences and things about some of the editions available from BachScholar. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next video.